welcome to our webinar this month. So yesterday, the 24th of September, or Heritage Day, we commemorated the rich cultural tapestry of our nation. So how did you spend your public holiday? I assume that many people would have had a braai yesterday. It was good weather, especially here in Gauteng. So it's also a day where we separate the men who can make a fire from those who do not know how to make a fire. Okay, so yeah, jokes aside, Heritage Day obviously unites people from all walks of life and symbolizes unity, community, and celebration. Okay, so here's the agenda for today. If I can move to it. There we go. So there's our 3 points as normal. So my name is Sean van den Berg. I'm an investment specialist here at PSG Wealth, and my objective today is to discuss where South Africa has come from and what we can look forward to in the future. So the whole gist today is my whole objective as such, is to put a positive spin on things. Okay, put it that way. So what makes South African as people unique? We can talk about Africa, number one. It has a seductive appeal for many would-be travelers, and obviously South Africa's reputation. We are a country where we offer a variety of breathtaking holidays and experiences. We offer a first world infrastructure. We have great beaches. We have world famous game reserves. We have dramatic mountains, sophisticated cities, historic battlefields, and great and small semi-deserts, as well as also wide open spaces. But also we can offer, call it breathtaking, and that I mean it literally, adventure activities, and there's much more. South Africa itself, we're renowned for our natural beauty, our culture, our history, and the country boasts 9 UNESCO World Heritage sites, and obviously that would also include something like Robben Island, for example. There are 11 languages, 11 different languages in South Africa. South Africa has the most colorful flag of all nations. The nickname Rainbow Nation was given to the country because of so many different cultures living together, or living happily together rather. And the most well-known national symbols is the protea flower and the springbok antelope. So just to sum it up quickly, having a multitude of ethnicities, South Africa is the most multicultural country on this continent. People of different cultures, languages, and religions can live peaceably and tolerantly with each other, which makes this country a great place to visit. Okay, so you can see some of these things. I'll just highlight this for fun. So South Africa's unique inventions. Some of you might have not known about the CAT scan. That's an X-ray machine that goes around your body and highlights the tissues and puts it into a machine. I wasn't aware of that. South Africa, way back in what was it? 1979. Yeah, there's a guy called McCormack, Alan McCormack. He was a physicist and he created this thing. He actually won the Nobel Prize for chemistry in that year. Tolosa, I don't know if I pronounce it properly. Those are those huge concrete blocks we see in the harbor. And obviously, they're designed to protect the harbor walls from those erosive forces of the ocean. Okay, so these things weigh up to 20 tons, and they've got a weird design. But that was invented by a South African. His name was Eric Merrifield, way back in 1963, and that's used worldwide now. Interesting, eh? So then we also got the thing of the heart transplant. We all know about Chris Barnard. Finally had heart surgery, and that's obviously what made us famous. Oil from coal, Sasol, creepy crawly. Some of you might not know that creepy crawly is a South African invention. It saves me a lot of time, and I'm very grateful for the inventors there. There's a guy, he was a vacuum cleaner. people call it a swimming pool vacuum cleaner, but it was invented by a guy in Springs way back in 1974. Okay, Pratley Putty, that's like a glue, very powerful glue. Q20, it's a spray, obviously very effective for water repellent, keeps rust away, and things like that. And then a speed gun for sports. Obviously, South Africa being cricket crazy, it was invented by a guy called Henry Johnson way back in 1992. He wanted to meet the speed, measure the speed and angle of various balls, cricket balls and tennis balls and things like that. And that actually was used way back in 1999 at the World Cricket Cup. So yeah, those are some things very funny, fun things to introduce. And then also let's look at things like biltong. These are unique to South Africa. Yeah, biltong, rooibos, Omar rusks, I call them rusks, Cook Sisters, Melva pudding, peppermint crisp chocolate. I was amazed to read about that. It was invented here in South Africa way back in 1963 by a South African company called Wilson Roundtree, and obviously Nestle bought them out. And then lastly, Pinotage, that wine Verital, it was going right back to 1920. So South Africa's unique place is the Pinotage wine variety. Okay, so let's look at some things like let's go. Yeah. Did you know that South African stocks, by the way, endured a lost decade when foreign investors dumped more than 700 billion rands worth of equities in the past 7 years? Okay, and that's the last 7 years alone. The JSE All Share Index returned just 2% a year in dollar terms, and that's over the last 10 years. And that's a far cry from the S&P 500's 12% return a year. So obviously that's why they were dumping the stocks. There are a lot of things that were obviously contributing to that, but we'll talk about it in more detail just now. So obviously we're going to address all these economic challenges our nation faces, and we can use things like innovative policies and strategic planning and all those kind of things, but we'll go into more detail. So I'll just quickly re-summarize. A lot of us, we know about these things, but just to summarize the challenges and possible solutions that we face. We all know about high unemployment in South Africa, especially amongst our youth. What can we do about it? So initiatives would we focus more on skills development, entrepreneurship, something that's very close to my heart, small business support, also very close to my heart, and all these things can help reduce unemployment. So, and also invest in education and vocational training and support, as I said just now, support the entrepreneurship and attract foreign investment to create job opportunities. So as I said, entrepreneurship is something very close to my heart. The unsung heroes of South Africa's economy are our entrepreneurs. They want to drive the growth and innovation through these small and medium-term enterprises, the SMEs. Okay, did you know that these SMEs comprise the 98.5% of formal businesses in the country and account for 34% of GDP. Okay, but saying that, and this is where my I feel a bit gutted. Despite its importance, the South Africa's SMEs, the sector growth remains slow. Okay, early stage entrepreneurship rates 3.5 times lower than the global average. Okay, and then also obviously facing that, our entrepreneurs face things like limited access to funding. 70% of those guys are struggling to access credit. And then lastly, obviously, skills development is another major barrier. 45% of SMEs, they say that lack of skills is a huge constraint for them. So yeah, so link to that also, let's talk about education. We all know about the challenges facing education, especially inequality, underfunding, and poor infrastructure. We know that there are many schools that struggle with overcrowded classrooms, inadequate facilities, and obviously all these things do impact on learning outcomes. Additionally, obviously the legacy of apartheid still continues to affect the education systems, leading to disparities based on location and socioeconomic status. So what can we do about it? Obviously invest in teacher training, update the curricula, and that's something I always believe they should do to keep up with modern needs, and also obviously to improve school infrastructure. Corruption, corruption in South Africa is pervasive. It's affecting various sectors and undermining good governance and public trust. So what can we do about it? Pie in the sky, hope, introduce high integrity and ethical principles. Okay, pie in the sky and a hope. But the main thing there is to enforce strict anti-corruption laws, increase transparency in government, and promote a culture of accountability. I always believe in that thing, name and shame. Okay, crime and safety. High levels of crime affect both personal safety and business operations. Okay, one thing I've noticed a lot, and I've been reading about in Business Day, is this whole thing about these extortionists. This is where you have to pay, call it a protection fee. And these extortionists, they have obviously penetrated crucial sectors of the economy, including obviously the construction sector, transport, security, mining, informal businesses, so far as municipalities, and obviously vulnerable communities. The biggest challenge with these extortionists is, is that it's underreported, number one, and number two, because of fear of victimization. So what can we do about it? Strengthen law enforcement and community policy policing. These are all things that can help us to improve safety and reduce crime, but also we need to help us to address the root causes, which is obviously poverty and lack of education. Infrastructure issues, we know all about the rail and port services, the problems we're having there. Water scarcity, that's something that's very worrying for me, especially here in Gauteng. It's a problem that they say it's got a lot to do with climate variability and population growth and pollution and things like that. But I think you can appreciate that water is the foundation of our national economy. It's a foundational fund of social stability. If that thing collapses, what do you think is going to happen? Our social stability will collapse, and so there's knock-on effect. So what can we do? Yes, so we can implement water conservation measures. We can invest in desalination plants, especially along the coast. But also, and this is what we can do here at Gauteng, very urgently repair aging infrastructure. Water, the housing shortage, another big problem there. We've always known about it. Economic volatility, global and domestic economic uncertainties, obviously, does impact on business confidence, and that's slowly changing. We'll talk about it in the next few slides. But we need to encourage the sectors like technology and tourism and manufacturing, and all these things help us to move away from being reliant on traditional industries, and this also help us to create new opportunities. So addressing all these challenges requires a coordinated effort, number one from government, number two from private sector, and number three from civil society, you and me. Okay, so let's talk about this confluence. There's all these things coming together, and I see a lot of positive developments happening recently. Number one is obviously this whole government of national unity. I think that's number one. One of the big reasons. It was a coalition of 10 political parties under Ramaphosa, and this whole thing has reignited hope for inclusive growth and long-term economic recovery. And we've seen it already. It's been we've seen the bond market perform very well, and we've seen the JSE perform very well. So all those things are starting to happen. Economic growth. We saw that economic growth is projected at 1.3% here in 2024, and that's all supported by this new infrastructure investments, which is my next point, a few points lower. Okay, so all these things help us to increase that confidence as such. Fiscal improvements, the idea here is to project that we will decline, the fiscal deficit rather is projected to decline to about 4.3% of GDP in this tax year, thanks to improved tax revenue collections. And as the economy improves and companies are doing well, paying more tax, individuals are spending more money, more tax. So again, all those things contribute. Infrastructure investments there. And more things are happening, especially in the construction sector. That will be contributing more and more towards economic stability. And the big thing, I think, to contribute to all of this also is this whole absence of load shedding. So it's again helping the economy. It's helping the fight against inflation. Everything is a feel good factor. And we also see the strength of the rand. I saw this morning the rand was at 17.20. I was reading an article where they said that they should be trading by the end of the year between 17.50 and 18.50. We are trading way below that average. So we're very, very strong. A lot to do with money coming back to South Africa. You have to convert those dollars into rand to be able to buy some JSE shares, and hence the strength of the rand. So things are looking good, and they anticipate that to be like that for a long time. And that also feeds through to the fuel price declines. Obviously, our biggest import is petrol, so we're paying less for it because our rand is stronger. And that also will lead on to the next point there, deceleration of inflation. We saw last Wednesday positive inflation data released last Wednesday show that CPI hits 4.4% in August. That's its lowest level since April 2021. Okay, so things are really looking up. And obviously, you also saw last week that the Reserve Bank cut the repo rate by 25 basis points. This is the first time also for many years. So the repo rate now is at 8%, and the prime lending rate is 11.5%. And we anticipate more interest rate cuts in the next few months, and that will also put more disposable money in your pocket and things like that. It's all helping towards this confidence factor. And then also the implementation of this two-part retirement system. You can actually access some of your retirement savings. Ideally, it should be to get rid of debt, and that should be in a really, if it's really the worst case scenario. Because the biggest problem with that is the income tax should be paying on that. So try not to do that. That's my personal opinion. And then lastly, my last point here, just for fun again, is that negotiations are in the final stages for potential UFC event in Cape Town, which could boost obviously tourism and the local economy. Now, we saw what happened last year with the inspirational win by the Springboks against all odds in the 2023 Rugby World Cup. It's just a reminder that we South Africans, our unity has always been our greatest strength. Okay. So South Africa, we are known for being a resilient nation. Time after time, we have persevered against the odds and have emerged stronger no matter the situation. Okay, so all these developments, all these, call it confluence of positive developments, indicate a positive trajectory for South Africa's economy, number one, and number two, obviously, for South Africa's social landscape. Okay, so what can you do? What can South Africans do for their personal economy? So I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's a guy called Charles Dudley Warner. Now, he's known for making the following famous remark: everybody talks about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. So in the same way, people talk about the economy, be it complaining about the high unemployment, be it the sluggish economic growth or high inflation or high interest rates, but do they do anything about it? So the question today is to you, and I always like to use the Afrikaans saying, Afrikaans they say, a boer maak 'n plan, which translates to in English, a farmer makes a plan. In other words, it means a farmer always finds a solution to a problem. He makes a plan, as I said. So it's the same as another way of looking at it. Necessity is the mother of invention. So the world's in a world where economic stability is increasingly elusive, South Africans can take proactive steps towards securing their personal financial future, from budgeting and saving and investing in local markets and pursuing entrepreneurial ventures, as I mentioned just now. Individuals can employ a variety of strategies to bolster their personal economy. So by focusing on financial education, seeking professional advice, and staying informed about the global and local economic landscape, South African can make informed decisions that contribute to the overall financial well-being. So, here's 16 tips. I'm going to go through very briefly, and I have mentioned this in many webinars before. So as a rule of thumb, number one, there you should be saving from your very first paycheck. Aim to save at least 15% of your monthly income. Decide how much of this you'd want to split between your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. Number point two there follows on that is at the very least start saving as soon as you can, even if it's just a small amount each month. Better start today than tomorrow. Okay, and then linked to that would be obviously a monthly budget, or income and expenditure statement. An idea here is to do objective assessment of your income and expenses and draw up a realistic budget. What's important is to hold yourself accountable and stick to your budget. Now, work towards becoming what I call a conscious consumer. Be aware where your money is going. Okay, number five, segment your savings into short, which is less than 2 years, or into medium term, which is 3 to 5 years, and long term savings. So your short term would be number one, to build up an emergency fund. I've spoken about this before, the importance of that. You need to save between 3 and 6 months of your monthly expenses in an emergency fund. So you don't dig into going to credit or going to debt and things like that. Okay, so medium term would be saving for a high ticket item, be it university fees or be it overseas trip. And then lastly, long term is your retirement funding. Okay, and then number five, if you do not need it, if you do not need it or have available funds for it, don't buy it. So delayed gratification, as they would say. If you have an eye on something you want, wait 5 days before buying it. Okay, so these are just little tools or little hacks you can use yourself. Ditch the overdraft and credit card. Okay, they are nice to have and necessary at times, but they also sink you in the long run. Okay, and then number 8 there, aggressively tackle your debt. Okay, if you can pay for credit card debt, which is sitting on 24-25%, you pay that off, you're actually saving yourself 25%. There's not many investments that give you 25%. Okay, so make it more manageable. That's the idea. And then the last 8 points here. There's no such thing as a genuine get-rich-quick investment. The saying goes, if it's too good to be true, it is probably too good to be true. So the whole idea here is to, the best investments are the safe, steady, long-term ones where you use compound growth and call it rand cost averaging, all those kind of things. Those are the things that help your money grow over the long term. And I've spoken about that in many webinars before. Take the time to learn more about financial investment terms, financial literacy, financial education. Teach yourself about it. You can see that's why I'm using that image of the child there. Teach your children about it. Become more economically conscious. Understand the implications of interest rate declines. What can I do about it? Who would benefit from it, etc. Okay. And then it's never too short to, never too late to start saving for retirement, even if you're in your 40s or 50s. You might have a lot of expenses now, but you won't have those same expenses later on in life. Okay. So, and then number 13 there, very, very important. Do not cash out your pension when you change jobs. And I think that is the biggest challenge for most people, is that they take their money out and they go spend it. Okay, if you're changing jobs, or if you resigned, or you have been retrenched, move it into a preservation fund. Preserve your retirement for your retirement. Okay. And then obviously be financially disciplined in your first few years of retirement. Don't just go spend your money on overseas trips and things like that. Delay it for a few years and you'll have a more financially stress-free life a bit later on. Get yourself a trusted financial advisor with solid experience. Speak to your family and friends. Ask them to introduce you to a financial advisor that they use and trust. And there's no one size fits all financial pros. All of us are unique. All of us have individual needs, and your financial plan should be customized to take that into consideration. And a financial advisor will help you with that. Okay, so guys, I'm running out of time here. You see very quickly. So obviously our economy, the first half of the year, it was subdued. It was weighed down by structural challenges and low confidence. But going forward, we can expect improvement. Number one, in household expenses with household finances rather, with interest rates coming down, inflation coming down. There should be more disposable income. So if things would start looking up, take advantage as an investor and start investing in anticipation of that. As I mentioned just now, the JSE did close at a new all-time high on Monday. Okay, 84,777 points. Okay, that's an increase of over 10% so far this year. I was reading an article about in the business day this morning about fund managers here in South Africa, where they're very, very optimistic about South Africa's future. Okay, they expected on average a return of about 17% for equities this year, on average about 8% for cash, and about 13% on government bonds maturing in 20 to 35. Those same fund managers, 90% of those fund managers surveyed, this is a survey by the Bank of America, 90% of these fund managers are overweight domestic stocks, okay, particularly banks, apparel, retail, and general industrials. And these are reflecting confidence in, obviously, South Africa's stock market. 2/3 of the fund managers polled believe that local equities are undervalued, signaling potential growth opportunities, while 1/3 see value in South African bonds. So things are looking up. Okay, these are opportunities for us. Okay, so this very quickly, you can see there South Africa's uniqueness. We touched on these, just highlighting it for you again. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go through these points very quickly, but the main thing here is just to stay at the bottom there, stay informed and be proactive, contribute to your personal economy, and that will help the South African economy. Okay, very broadly saying that. Okay, so before I get into conclusion here, and before any questions you might have, just to summarize in conclusion, stable energy supply, easing political uncertainty, slow inflation, low interest rates, all these things should support economic activity over the near term. The economy is not saying that the economy is not on cruise control, and there remains risks in the country's growth prospects. But for now, the way I see it, South Africa is still in the foothills of economic recovery. So we always say in the stock market, buy low and sell high. This is where we are right now. So the saying that, I hope that you get the idea from this presentation that there's more confidence in the future. Okay, so again, that little image on the side there just highlights for you, teach your children financial skills from a young age. Knowing how to responsibly handle your money when you're young has a significant impact on financial security later in life. So there's these 3 points I'm highlighting here. These are the 3 investment vehicles that we always talk about. Obviously, retirement annuity and the tax-free. These are tax-efficient accounts. But these are vehicles that you need to know, understand what these vehicles can do for you, and things like that. But guys, from my side, I'm going to see if any questions you guys have. Any questions there? Later on, you can also send me an email to wealth@psg.co.za. We can give me a call on OneStream at 0860 000 368. Okay, so let me see what questions you guys have. Here's a question here from Sizwe. Yeah, Sizwe wants to know, can I open a share trading account in the name of my company? Yeah, the answer is yes, obviously. Yeah, when you register, there's a little button that says, are you an entity? You say yes. Just understand that the FICA requirements are a bit more stricter. But to answer your question, yes, a lot of people would open a share trading account in the name of a company. mainly for tax reasons. Obviously, tax is much lower in a company than for individuals. Yeah, but that's one. I hope that answers your question. A question here from Inga. How much can I start investing in RA? Good question, Inga. Our minimum investment is 500 Rand monthly, recurring contributions. You can also start with a 20,000 Rand lump sum, or you can do a combination of them. You can contribute up to 27.5% of your salary a year into your retirement annuity to get a tax benefit. Obviously, there is a cap, 350,000, 350,000. You go over it, doesn't matter. You can get it over the next year. So I hope that also answers your question. So guys, I hope that also that you've enjoyed this webinar. Here's my disclaimer: anything that you read and heard in this webinar, mainly for educational purposes. I'm not giving any advice, but from my side again, thank you for being on this webinar. Until next month, bye for now.